Hello class, my name is Benjamin Mitchell, as you probably knew that, and this is my sustainability project about packaging. Some of the bullet points that I'll be going over throughout this presentation is about how unsustainable food packaging is detrimental to our ecosystem and our health in many ways, and that there are many different cool, interesting materials that could replace sustainable materials that could replace um, this unsustainable packaging. Um, and not only that, it could preserve our ecosystem or our carbon footprint, help with fertilization and preserving wildlife, etc. Um, According to National Geographic, some of the 18 billion pounds of plastic waste, well, 18 billion pounds of plastic waste flows into the oceans every year from coastal regions. Um, and that is a lot. And and um, if we start using sustainable alternatives to these materials such as plastic and um, some fibrous paper materials that are unsustainable could be replaced by some things I'll go over later. Um, that will hopefully reduce the 18 billion pounds of plastic that could be that are is that flows into the ocean each year. And this is an example of a chart. This is of the countries that mismanage plastic waste the most. China obviously being the most, and we're not too far behind. Polynesia is also pretty bad. Um, that kind of thing. And yeah, these are some plastic materials that not only plastic but metal and paper materials are a lot of times are lined with plastic to help from leaching toxic metals into your beverage, or as an example here, this is the aluminum was dissolved off of this Coke Zero, it looks like, can, um, to reveal that it's lined with plastic on the inside. And paper materials, um, such as these plastic or paper plates and paper cups and paper flatware, all are lined with plastic to prevent fogginess and also toxic. The whole thing about plastic uh, is that um, it does not biodegrade. You know, it along with other detriments, it doesn't biodegrade. Instead, it breaks down into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller bits of plastic over time from you know erosion or just deterioration or what have you. A lot, nowadays there's so these sorry, excuse me, these plastic materials are all that have been broken down, turned into microplastics, as they're called, just very microscopic bits of plastic. This uh, right here in the bottom right is an example of a clam that has microplastics in it, has ingested some microplastics, and now the clams that you're eating have microplastics in them. Not only clams, but the soil, the water, the earth, the dirt. Oh, sorry, the air. Uh, most living organisms have microplastics found in them. Not only microplastics, but this bird has ingested larger bits of plastic in the process of being microplasticized, um, or in the process of being turned into microplastic. And that was the demise of this bird, sadly. But not only that, there's other detriments as well. This is just a list of the toxic materials that you can find in paper, plastic, and metal materials. Again, metal and paper is often lined with plastic, so a lot of the same chemical toxins and chemicals in them. But as Dr. Russ Hauser from Harvard says, even though single exposures to a specific chemical are small, if they occur repeatedly over long periods of time, their effects may add up, leading to a variety of adverse health outcomes down the road. This was in comment about specifically plastic chemicals. And those chemicals, well, microplastics, since they're all around us all the time, we're around these toxic materials all the time, even though they're very minuscule and whatnot, but we're around them all the time, and we use the plastic materials all the time as well. So that's not a good thing, to say the least. Also, some other bad things about microplastics being in soil and whatnot. It takes up, there's not going to be as much of a concentration of nutrients in the soil, and it doesn't hold enough as much water, the soil, because of these microplastics being concentrated in soil. Also, plastic takes an amazing amount of energy to be produced, and that this is an example of the Shell ethylene cracker plant. Makes plastic production is one of its productions, and that, as said by Renee Cho from Columbia Climate School, that the emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions from this plant, alone could cancel all the benefits of the nearby carbon reduction measures, which we need more of, to be frank. So that leads us into the good part, the plastic alternatives or other material alternatives that are sustainable. This is the raw material. That is casein, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Apologies. That is coagulated milk proteins that can be turned into a plastic-like material, and that is shown is turned into buttons, plastic buttons, and actually this is one of the first plastic materials, plastic alternatives that is sustainable that we've been using for decades actually. Um, uh, and it's biodegradable, as all sustainable products should be. Not only this, but there's also um, plastic alternatives, a sustainable plastic alternative that is made from cornstarch or different or otherwise sugarcane and other stuff. This is the cornstarch material and what it ended up being, this food tray. That's just an example. The sugarcane isn't shown, but that's again one that could be shown, or that's one that could be implemented. Um, but one among all the rest is one that's received a lot of press lately, um, and a lot of research has been going into it because it's amazing diversity of what it could do, and that is mycelium. Mycelium. Mycelium is kind of like the root structure of mushrooms, and that uh, can be made into many different things. And they're doing a lot of research and a lot more things than I'm showing here. But here I show up top. This structure is completely made out of bricks made from mycelium and corn husks. This structure isn't held together by any binding materials, I don't believe, but it's all strictly made out of the mycelium and corn husk bricks, which is crazy. Also, this is an example of mycelium leather, and an example of what that could turn into. Completely negates the use use of pleather, which is plastic leather, and this is probably the biggest. Next is probably the biggest use of sustainable mycelium, styrofoam. Styrofoam from mycelium is very popular now, or making great strides in making a sustainable future. It's so good that even IKEA has stated recently that they are going to replace all their styrofoam packaging with mycelium packaging, styrofoam. So that's a nice step toward sustainability. This chart shows some goes into depth into all the sorts of different stuff that might all the different statistics and whatnot of like, such as, a plastic bottle, a single plastic bottle can break up to over 10,000 pieces of microplastic. That is a crazy amount in one small little plastic bottle. Again, it shows the different and like the percentages of animals that you can find plastic in and whatnot. Just very interesting to look at, but to say the least, unsustainable packaging materials is a bad thing. um, it's bad for the soil, it's bad for the air, it's bad for the water, it's bad for organic materials, it's organisms. It's bad for literally everybody. Though it's only good for convenience, but in the long run, it's not going to be convenient. Have so much pollution. But alongside, if we implement more cleanup solutions, we we could hopefully get closer and closer to a zero carbon footprint, which in the end is a very good thing. And thank you for listening to me. I apologize, it was a little too long. But I'm not good at this type of thing. I'm not good at speaking on the camera, and I'm not good at presenting, and I'm not good at writing. But I'm glad that you bared with me. And I thank you. Here's my citations, and bada bing, bada boom.